Hey everybody, welcome back to Dungeon Maker here on the World of Madness server. As you can see, we are inside of the first sanctuary zone, inside of the tomb. And if I'd like do a little bit of jumping up here, we can kind of make out there is actually like vision to something beyond there, which is a nice little touch, I think. It might give some players the possible idea that they can find some way to access that. Of course, you are never able to access the central section because that would take you directly to the actual, like, end of the tomb. The final boss level, we could call it. But if we run up here, we can actually gain access to that area currently, because this hasn't been blocked off just yet. Will be soon. Ideally, once I figure out how to get skeletons galore into here. And if we come down here, we can find ourselves in the second sanctuary, which is another reason that you cannot go down the central line, because you have a straight line between every single sanctuary. And that's not good. That is bad. That is, for want of a better statement, too easy. And this place is still in need of some work, but it's a good start, I think. And of course, if we come across here, we can find ourselves on the other side of the hidden door, which I haven't built just yet, because I need to go and apparently grab more redstone. Didn't know I was out of it so badly. But, so, the main thing that we're talking about today is that this door needs to be locked. Like, we know the door around here can be opened and closed with the simple push of a button. And apparently there's a zombie down there somewhere. Hello. Hello, kobolds. How are you? Yeah, you're kind of stuck down there, because you're a little bit dumb, apparently. So yeah, you can open that door with a single button. It's just a plain toggle. But the idea with this door is that that door is a waste of time. That door is there to either murder you, get you murdered, or just, like, cause you to take longer getting through the dungeon. And I will, of course, be moving this button. It's currently just here for purposes. But this door needs to actually take a degree longer to open, to incentivize you trying to get through to that one. And the way that we're going to be doing that is with a combination lock. But now there is a problem, because now we have to work out the redstone for this. So consequently, we're going to pop over onto my 1.9.4 now, test world for World of Madness, and we're going to see exactly what kind of magic we can do with redstone for combination locks. So, with that in mind, catch you in a moment. Okay, so here we are in my test world, where the number of redstone things continues to grow, and these three components here are the absolute basis of what we're going to need. So, the first and most important thing that you need when you're dealing with an actual combination lock is this. This is an XNOR gate. Basically, it outputs a signal when both of the inputs are in the exact same state. So in this case, both of them are currently turned off. If I turn this one off, then they don't match anymore, so that turns off. If I turn that one on, it turns back on, and vice versa. So this is the beginning of a combination lock, because it means that a given input must match its corresponding value in the actual code. Now, the old school way that you did it was you just had a lever, and if that lever was on, and its, like, input was on, then you already had, like, an input. Or, alternatively, you had a bunch of inputs, and you just had repeaters, or redstone dust and other stuff, and torches on the other side. So you had like a bunch of torches, like a bunch of levers like this. You had either torches or repeaters like that, and you had to get it right. And to some degree that's still working. The one that's in the jungle temple is a whole other thing. That's like that's a mechanical lock, but it has the same problem, which is that those systems have one fixed combination. Why is that important? It's basically because people can come through the dungeon more than once. In fact, if they die, they more often will have to. So we need to have a combination which can change. And the way that we have it changing is that we make this kind of system, this XNOR, so that we just need to know that it matches. And then we can set this to whatever we want. So, we do that using this particular circuit. Now, this is just a dropper, and a hopper, and a wooden sword and a bit of dirt, and then a comparator with a bit of dust. Now, the free dust only lights up when there is a non-stackable object in here, at least one, namely this sword, which is just wood because it's cheap. So then we push the button, and every other time, pretty much, if you have the slightest bit of luck, this hopper will allow the whole thing to light up and get to here, where it can get increased to a more useful level and to trigger that. People use this all the time when they're building sorting machines, as we saw in Creative City ages back. And using this, if we then lock this hopper, so let's just grab ourselves a lever to make this work, we can now lock the state of this. So we now have a single bit until we reset this. And then we can make sure that the whole thing is always perfectly fine. And apparently this decided not to work just immediately, which is kind of impressive. That's Redstone connectivity for you. But yeah. There we go. Now she's working again. Haha. So that basically allows us to randomly generate an entire passcode. And with that, if we hook up the outputs of these to the input here, we can get a random button state that we need. So, depending on what that says when we lock it and after we fired it, we have to change the state of this. Awesome. Next, we need a button system that we can actually reset. So, at the start of going through the dungeon, every single button needs to be turned off. And we can do that in the same instance as when we generate a new code. So we need a toggle system with ideally some kind of identifier. So this particular piston is my one of choice for that. So if it's up, you know it's on. If it's down, you know it's off. And here we have a couple of droppers and a couple of hoppers. So one pointing up here and then one pointing across. And then basically both of these get triggered when you send a pulse into there. But if we send a pulse into here, we only trigger the bottom one, which is the one that we're actually drawing the signal from. So then it can be emptied by shifting its stuff into there, and then we can come around here and get our signal. So our signal comes from out of here, basically. And put that all together, that creates a randomly generated passcode, a passcode which must match in all polarities, so both 0 and 1, and a button that can be reset, basically a T flip-flop that can be reset. So instead of using a lever, we can have something a lot more discrete, namely our buttons. So using those, we can create a system like this. So I've only hooked up the one button here, but if I push this, then we get a random variable again. So this is 0, 0, 1, 1, or let me see, that would be 1, 2, 4, and 8, so this would be a value of 12 if we're looking at binary, which nobody else but me is. And then at the end of this, we just AND everything together. So if all of these are off, meaning there's power coming through all of them, then we get an output, namely the door opens. And it's relatively small, all things considered. It could be a lot bigger if you were using much older techniques, ones that didn't involve comparators or pistons or all sorts. And if I come up here and I turn this on, then we can see that this one no longer outputs at all. And once I reset, we can see that line right there go off. So yeah, it is turned off. It is completely shut down because the line came up here and reset this particular one. And it can reset all of them. I just need to run wires to all of the buttons. So what that means is every time somebody comes in, let's say every time somebody drops in through the, yeah, there we are. Every time someone drops in through here, or at the very least every time somebody like wanders down here and comes down the stairs, they will reset the combination, reset all of the buttons, and that will also cause this door to close, so that then they have to run around, find the buttons, figure out the combination, of which there are 15 possible combinations using 4 buttons there. And then, if they get them right, whilst they're being attacked by various skeletons and whatnot, then, and only then, are they able to actually open this door and proceed into the sanctuary, and proceed into the next area deeper down into the tomb. All that time they're being assailed by skeletons, and occasionally they might even find their way to here. If this is their first time in, then they might actually consider that to be the exit. They might think they've gotten the right password, but who knows? So that is sort of the idea, and just to like go over the reasoning that we do this instead of going with the much simpler systems of just torches and repeaters. This needs to be difficult, and it needs to be able to maintain its challenge. So if somebody has already been through this challenge, been through the tomb like 5 or 6 times, maybe they've never even actually seen the second sanctuary, but they've always come in, and they've always gone to the right, and they've always trying to open that door. If they've done it 5 times, then they're going to figure out what the passcode is, eventually. And consequently, every time they go in after that, they know the exact combination of buttons to push. They can avoid buttons, they can skip buttons entirely. And of course, they'll most likely have figured out which button opens the fake door. But that's fine enough, really. Because they'll still have to spend time trying to figure out the new combination. And if they knew if it was just a static combination, then every single time they run through, they already know half the answers. And that's not like an actual challenge. And you have to put that in mind when you're thinking of repeatable kind of quests and such. You have to think of, okay, do I want it to maintain its challenge? Is this just like a quick, easy thing that they can do for like for a few extra gil or gold pieces or whatever? Or is this like a quick thing they can use to get some resources? Or is this actually meant to always be a challenge? Is this meant to be something that's always dangerous? Something that always has some significant reward? That kind of thing. And if that's the case, then you probably want to make it so that the codes aren't always the same. You want to randomize which direction they have to go. You want to randomize, like, what the combinations are, what the enemies are, if you can. That kind of thing. Just sort of a quick thing regarding game design there. Which is something I've had to think about with the Uber Vision. How do I make it difficult all of the time, and what justifies it being difficult all of the time? Anyways, relatively short video. I did have a bit of work done over at the quarry, so we'll jump over there momentarily and have a quick look at that. Bye! Oh, the sound of that lava. A little bit unnerving. Haven't gone back to the Nether. Haven't gone back through the Nether. Okay, good sign. Since the last episode. A little bit turned off from going into there again anytime soon, I guess, unless I have to. Okay, good, it's dawn. Right. So nothing really changed around here so far. I've been too busy digging and flooding with sand and carving sand back out to get the next level done. But over here, there was a few suggestions about what kind of buildings I should have over here. A little bit of confusion. Yes, I want to have a small, like, tent-based encampment of some kind over by the actual tomb, so that people can sleep there, and if they wipe when they're going through, they can rush back in to hopefully retrieve some stuff, and that kind of thing. And over here, I wanted to have some kind of sign that this place has been a bit more inhabited, that there were workers here, that stuff was going on, beyond just the presence of scaffolding and the presence of the unfinished monolith. And I have managed to come up with something. You can probably see it kind of coming into view now. So, I had to go through so much archaeological, like, research photography to try and figure out what the heck these things would look like. But I have managed to come up with a fairly reasonable design of enclosure. So we've got 3 different buildings here. All of my, like, gubbins are in here for when I'm over here mining. We've got pieces missing from the floor. We've got the odd sand bit around. Just to give the idea that this place is worn away. That's why there's no, like, support columns. That's why there's no roofs. That, and it doesn't rain in the desert anyways. And then in this one, it's a bit more disheveled, a bit more sand, that kind of thing. And then in the third and final one, over here, we got this sandbank on the side, so I just had the idea that it's just sort of, like, poured through a bit. So these like little things with their, like, half slab windows I tried to retain so they're not always level. Looks nice. basically were workhouses. These are basically where, like, the workers on the quarry would, like, sleep and stay and whatnot when they were on the job. So consequently, we now have a whole new level to this place, and it looks a lot better, I think, for having them. Like, they serve no purpose. They are just here to look pretty. Like, these platforms, which if the roofs have rotted away, probably should have gone away as well, but shh, desert. It's fine. But they just add that little bit extra that makes it look like a fully formed, like, realized kind of zone. I like it. And it also gives you, like, a decent idea of which direction to go to get to the actual temple. So, with that in mind, I might add a few more things around here. I'm not sure. Someone suggested I should build a crane. But I think a crane is probably pushing the boundaries of reason. Like, sure, maybe like these stayed up because they're like designed to be staying up for a really long period of time. But a crane is inherently like under a lot of weight and stress. So I don't know. I might leave that. I'm also not sure how you build one given Minecraft's cubic styles and such. Straight lines, easy to do in Minecraft. But yeah, I might add a few more things around here. Not really sure what though. But with that in mind, I hope you've all enjoyed this increasingly aesthetic build, and I will catch you all next time.